Good evening. I will now call tonight, June 9th, 2026 legislative meeting to order. We will start with a pledge of allegiance, followed by our statement of acknowledgement and honor. Dr. Watts.
We begin this meeting tonight with acknowledgement of and honor for the many legacies that have impacted our community, particularly those buried over time. Acknowledging truth is critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. Cheltenham Township stands within the Lenape-Hokunk, the ancestral homeland of the Lenape civilization, Their people were and still are caretakers of this land and its rivers, and their legacy continues. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. Our community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations that can be counted. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together. As a school district committed to fostering intellectual curiosity and discourse in service of social justice, join us in uncovering such truths.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. Ms. Hatcher, could you please take the roll call?
Good evening. Ms. Mia Blitzstein.
Present.
Mr. Charles Burdell Williams.
Present.
Mr. Zachary X.
Present.
Mrs. Jenny Loney.
Present.
Ms. Leah Mohnhurst.
Present.
Ms. Robin Murphy.
Present.
Mr. Daniel Schultz.
Present.
Dr. Caroline Watts.
Present.
Dr. Walsh White.
Present.
Thank you. That concludes our roll.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher. We will now have public comment on agenda items only. As a reminder, any Cheltenham resident, taxpayer, or school district employee is permitted to comment on agenda items only at this time. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. If you come to the podium or raise your hand on Zoom, you will be recognized. Please begin by stating your name and where you reside in the district.
I'll just leave it here. Can you hear me okay?
You are. Just so you're aware, we will have a timer going, and when it dings, your 3 minutes are up.
Under a minute.
Everyone's aware. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting us to come up. My name is Judy Heath. My boys graduated from Cheltenham in 2010 and 2013. I live in Glenside. I'm a retired school social worker from Bucks IU and Bristol Township School District, where I did a lot of crisis intervention work. I'm also a member of the Cheltenham Immigration Response Team, a grassroots community group. I'm involved with a statewide group led by the Education Law Center and the Pennsylvania Immigration Coalition that assists school districts in developing policies or protocols and addressing needs of students who are immigrants. Through that group, it has been acknowledged that Cheltenham has taken a leadership role in Montgomery and Bucks counties with developing protocols that protect students. So first, I want to thank Dr. Scriven for his leadership, his recognition that families live in fear and danger, and then communicating to families that their safety in Cheltenham schools is top priority. I applaud the resolution that we will be discussing tonight. This is huge for the district, huge for our county, huge for our state. And I hope that the work will continue, specifically to address spaces that are not within the school buildings. So protecting students who attend after-school activities and those waiting at bus stops. We do not want students to stay home, not attend school for fear of being confronted by ICE, And certainly, schools need therapeutic support to address the potential trauma for students should a family member be detained by ICE, or simply for students that are fearful that it could happen. This will help students feel secure and safe knowing that these supports are available and that their concerns are heard and understood. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Heath.
Good evening. My name is Randy Libros. I live over near Cheltenham Elementary. And wanted to, also thank you for the work that you've done around developing this policy, the welcoming policy for immigrants and students and their families. I was really actually very impressed by the protocol of like, well, what if ICE shows up? And what does everybody need to do? And that's so important to have that in place in order to protect our students. My kids have long since graduated. I've long since graduated from Cheltenham schools, but many of our neighbors and friends have kids in the school, and as you very well know, there's a lot of immigrant families in our community. So, but one of the things I'm a little concerned about is that, having that policy in place is excellent, but staff needs to really know what they need to do. Everybody in the school needs to know what the policy is, who they need to talk to, what are the steps that they need to take if they happen to be the one where ICE shows up and they happen to open the door or whatever the situation is. And so I would really like to see incorporating some ongoing training, that annual training or whatever it would be, that to ensure that the policy is really carried out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Peterson. I live in the Roland Park area of Cheltenham Township. I'm 33-year resident. My children went to Cheltenham schools. I want to echo what Judy and Randy have said. I do want to thank Dr. Scriven and the school board for putting this draft resolution before the board tonight. I would also echo some concerns with the policy. One example I have would be it's very focused on students, and I don't believe it talks too much about the staff and the faculty in terms of protections should ICE come. And maybe they have a staff member in mind, and maybe not a student. So at the state level, with the resolutions that are in draft form at the state level, they do talk about faculty, staff, and students. And I would certainly echo what Randy said about the need for training. It's one thing to have a good document. It's another thing to have people aware of that document and have it not fade away a year later when maybe there's turnover of staff. So I would certainly encourage, at least annual detailed training on the resolution. Last thing I want to mention is that I would still like to have, a sit-down meeting to discuss. If you end up passing the resolution tonight as is, I'm not sure what you're going to do. But even if you do end up passing it tonight as is, there's still the communication piece. There might be like a letter that goes along with the resolution. There would be, other pieces of communication where some things may not have gotten into the resolution. We're hoping that, a couple of things will be added to the resolution. But if not, we'd still like to meet, sometime fairly soon to, clarify some of our concerns and issues. But, excellent job, and thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Hi, my name is Amy Freed. I live on Landfair Road in Cheltenham. I'm a 30-year resident of the township, sent 3 kids through the district. I am going to echo what other people said before me. I know it's redundant, but I think it's important. There's value in redundancy. Um, and to thank you very much for the resolution. I would have liked to have had it before the night before. I think the public sometimes when they are critical of the school board or the commissioners, it's because they get these things so late and don't have time, in their busy lives to, really pour over them and and come up with how they feel about it and their reactions to the. So I really think this should have been published earlier, but I do want to thank you for it that it was published. And I want to echo that staff needs to be trained, not just told, as it's said in the resolution, and that also the incidents need to be reported to the school board. So it can't just kind of stay at the level of the school, but you all need to know what's going on. And so I think that needs to trickle up. I think that's important. And in terms of, I'm always confused about what is a non-public area of a school versus a public area. One thing they suggest in the state, the resolutions which are now at the state level, is that they be labeled very clearly what's public, what's not public, and then those that fluctuate, things like school playgrounds, which are not public when the kids are in school, become public after hours. So do we want ICE to be able to come and pick up kids at the playground? That's an issue to be discussed going forward. And ICE just got another $70 billion today, or was it last night? So I would expect that activity is going to kick up pretty significantly. I do thank you again for your attention to this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Freed.
Hi, good evening. My name is Pam Albright. I'm on Brookfield Road and near Cheltenham Elementary. And I just want to say I'm really proud to be part of this school, this community. And I think this is fantastic that you have this this welcoming policy that you're instituting. I'm just really thrilled that all of you are so dedicated to all of our students and families. And I agree that, there are a few things that could be added in to improve it a little bit, the same as everyone else said. But I'm really, really thrilled that you've come up with this very important policy, and hopefully we'll get it out so everyone knows about it, and, so that our families have some sense of comfort knowing that their school district and their community is supporting them in any way they can. I wanted to raise one other issue, which we haven't really talked about, at least as far as I know, in the school district, have talked about it at the township level, but there's the issue of financing and Citizens Bank. Now, my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, that the school district may have some accounts at Citizens Bank. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know a lot of school districts do. But Citizens Bank, as many of you may know, or maybe you don't know, they're the only primary bank that is now continuing to finance the Geo Group and Core Civic and the corporations that are owning, these horrible basically concentration camps, including with Shannon here in Pennsylvania, and Delaney Hall, which has gotten in the news very much lately because of both the inhumanity inside and the inhumanity toward protesters outside. So I think, and this past Saturday, there's more and more people there's a coalition developing, and a de-ICE Citizens Bank.org, which has just had over 135 protests this past Saturday at various Citizens Bank around the whole region. So this, I think that this was one step, another step that you could look at. If you do have accounts at Citizens Bank, then, we need to let them know that we don't want to have anything to do with their financing of these horrendous concentration camps, these detention centers. Removing the account can have a real impact. Apparently, an interfaith group in Boston has, started to take their money out. They have $14 million in Citizens Bank accounts, and they demanded to meet with the CEO, who refused to meet with them. So they went and they took $1 million out, and they said, we're going to set another time. If you don't meet with us, we're going to take another $1 million out. We're just going to keep going until we get all of our money out. So I think Citizen Bank will hear these things if we take a stand on that too. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albright. Kevin, are there any hands for Mr. Kaufman? Thank you so much. At this time, we will move on to recognitions. And the first recognition, Dr. Catrambone.
This is for our 3 paras, Dr. Cat.
Good evening, Board of School Directors. My name is Dr. Catrambone. I'm the Director of Special Ed here in Cheltenham School District. And tonight, I'd like to recognize 3 of our hardworking paraprofessionals in our school district. Cheltenham School District is proud to highlight the success of our partnership with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, which has already prepared 3 of our paraeducators to graduate with their associate's degree and transition into the bachelor's degree pathway. This next phase utilizes an innovative, flexible 2-university model to offer multiple program formats and support structures for our staff. This flexibility directly addresses the regional special education teacher shortage, and we are thrilled to continue our collaboration to elevate our paraeducators, improve student outcomes across our schools. As a continuing partner, Cheltenham firmly affirms its commitment to the grant's core expectations. We will continue to identify and enroll eligible paraeducators, providing them with structured mentoring from certified special ed teachers and the scheduling flexibility needed to complete coursework and field placements. Furthermore, the district is committed to shared partnership coordination and long-term sustainability, actively collaborating with the MCIU to align district practices with university coursework and exploring alternative funding streams to sustain and expand this vital educational pipeline beyond the current grant cycle. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize our 3 paraprofessionals and ask them to come up here to be recognized. We have from Wyncote Elementary, Miss Victoria Warren. From Cheltenham High School, Miss Janae Davis. And our third, Miss Penny Young, also from Cheltenham High School.
So we just wanted to take an opportunity to publicly acknowledge your efforts. As a district, we are always looking at alternative ways to create teachers. I see you guys almost everywhere, especially Penny Young at the high school and Janae Davis, not as much, but every time I'm there, I'm laying eyes on you guys. And just want to commend you for your resilience, for your diligence, and encourage you to continue to press forward. What an awesome accomplishment. And that's why we wanted to invite you here tonight, just to shower you with accolades on a job well done and on the hard work that I know you've all put in. So at this time, Dr. Hammond is here. Principal Teller is here. Why don't you guys get a picture with Mr. Kaufman, just so we can memorialize this night. And once again, we give you our applause.
I am also going to take a second to acknowledge those same 3 paras. I have had the opportunity to see both Miss Penny and Miss Janae on a regular basis at the high school, and we've talked about their classes and their coursework and how hard they were working. And I know that Miss Warren was working just as hard. So just excited to honor all 3 of you tonight. Thank you again. Thank you. We'll get one more. We got to do the. Next up, we will be recognizing some of our athletic teams. Mr. Sheridan.
Good evening, school board, and thank you for having us. My name is Sam Sheridan. I'm one of the vice principals and director of athletics and activities at the high school. Tonight, we honor a very special group, both the boys cross country and the girls track and field. I will let Dr. Lowry come up and do track and field. I am here in lieu of Coach Wolf, who could not be here tonight. So I want to call up first the boys cross country team, who I believe is in the back here. This will be Nicholas Abram, Paolo Annunziata, Keen Doherty, Will Edgar, Sham Sadid, Jabbar, Linford Walter, and Jeremiah Webb. These boys, for the first time since 2015, have won the Suburban One League American Freedom Division and the American Division Championships. Gentlemen, this message from Coach Wolf: your hard work, determination, and commitment throughout the season has paid off in this incredible achievement. We are proud of your dedication, teamwork, and championship performance. Well done, champions. And I'll also take this opportunity as the director of athletics to give not only Coach Wolf, Dr. Lowry, Dr. Beal, I believe I saw Carl Grossman, and all the track and field and cross country coaches a huge shout out. The commitment they put in throughout the fall season, the early bus rides on Saturday mornings does not go unseen or unstated. What our student athletes do at the high school every season is well beyond the classroom. What the coaches and the time they commit is well beyond what they're compensated for. And it's very clearly for them, never about the money. And it's really about development of student athletes and what we are continuing to improve upon at the high school. So thank you, Dr. Lowry. Thank you, Dr. Beal. And thank you to all the other coaches. And gentlemen, if you can join Kevin Kaufman in the back, we'll take a photo after Dr. Lowry comes up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to our esteemed board members and also to our superintendent for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'll raise it up a little bit. I'm a little bit taller than most people. I would like first to start off by welcoming the ladies from the girls track team to please come up. So we have a long list of individuals who are here this evening. JJ Turton, Rachel Odinkamir, Amira Nesmith, Amira Banks, Stephanie Clayhorn, Ugona Inea, Emma Ravenel, Willa Cheney, Abby Edgar, Nori Juan, Mo Thatch, Chloe Santable, Maya, Anu Umosole, Nina Ibia, Nyla Rashid, and Mackenzie Williams. So it is a pleasure to continue to stand here in this position as a head coach for cross country and also girls indoor and outdoor track. Just to be able to spotlight these young ladies. Yes, they continue to dominate in the SOL. They won their 5th straight team championship, which is really stellar. But also what really makes this wonderful that from a teacher standpoint, all of these young ladies who stand up here are enrolled in so many AP classes, dual enrollment courses. They constantly stay on honor roll, and we were able to graduate some seniors who had a GPA as high as 4.8 and 4.9. So it's just so wonderful to continue to do what I love to do, which is to teach and to coach. And I would also like to just recognize any of their parents who have come here today, if they could also please stand. So it really takes a village, as well as our administrative staff who are currently here as well. I want to also recognize them and just the school board for your continued support for our program. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. And ladies, just a job well done. You have set a bar which is so high. You really exemplify what student athletes look like. Is it okay if I take a picture with you guys? All right. If you guys meet me over in the corner and coach, I really appreciate it. Can we give them one more round of applause?
Good evening. How's everyone? Good. Everyone have good to see your smiling faces. My name is Dr. Robert Beal. I am the boys track and field coach at Cheltenham, finishing in my 44th year. Trust me, I didn't plan it that way. My boss planned it that way. For it is a pleasure to be before you to recognize these young people for their achievement. First, I would like to thank the leadership of this school district of Cheltenham Township, headed by Dr. Scriven. Thank you, sir. Our principal, Dr. Hammond, and our leader, Mr. Sam Sheridan. Without these people, this would not have happened. Also, my coaching staff, I believe I have one here today, Mr. Carl Grossman. He's been with me approximately 40 years. He's a 65 graduate of Cheltenham, just letting you know what you have here. We had a challenging year, but without challenges, you can't grow. I am extremely proud of these young men that I had an opportunity to coach. We started off with a large group of 58 people. We ended with a group of courageous, loyal, and guys full with integrity of 34. So we're so proud that we have accomplished this feat of winning the Suburban One League 4 straight years. And it's all because of the dedication of these young people. Parents, thank you very much for putting up with us. Those trips to the Lehigh, 6:30 in the morning. It's all worth it. So out of that, this year's efforts, we had, I believe, 8 District 1 qualifiers. We had 2 state qualifiers and 1 medalist. I would call some of the individuals' names who are here tonight. Some were on the cross-country team already. Come up again, Will Egger, Nick Abraham, Caleb Doherty, Sham Shabar's not here. He's a qualifier. Noah Ryan, Andre Egazari, Devin Bynum. And we have 2 gentlemen in the back who were a part of the team this year also, who gave their effort. Chauncey, come on up, and Jeffrey Yin, come on up, be with the team. You're a part of the team. In spite of the challenges, we were proud. We were able to produce a medalist in the triple jump at the state meet. Devin Bynum. Devin, raise your hand. And Will, it's one of my favorites. He has broken the school record 6 or 7 times. I stopped counting. Between the mile, 3,000, 3,200. He's one of the top runners in the seniors. I'm proud of these people because they are off to college and many of them are going to be engineers. And I'm telling you right now, I love track and field, I love sports, but what makes my heart glad, they are good people. They're going to be very good contributors to society. We have engineers, future leaders, future physical therapists, et cetera, et cetera. So I thank you for allowing us, the coaching staff, to coach these kids, teach these kids another year. So remember, do all you can, while you can, the best you can to everybody, and be good people. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. All right.
Thank you, Doc. Doc, we're gonna meet you over in the corner, Coach
Yes.
Bill.
Yes, sir.
And Tammy Flood, as we transition to the
Okay.
next portion, which is recognizing our retirees, we're gonna ask you to come to the podium first. And I'm gonna give you the honors of calling our first retiree. Thank you, Mrs. Flood.
Somehow I knew I would come after Dr. Beal, and I'm going to try to measure up. Good evening, everyone, the board, and all of those who were honored here. I had no idea all these wonderful people would be here. I feel like a celebrity. All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm Tammy Flood, the supervisor of instructional technology, and I'm here to celebrate all of the retirees, especially Lisa Rock. So I was asked to put together just something, to talk a little bit about Lisa and her contributions to the district. So that's what I did. I was asked to put together a few words about a colleague, and you assume it won't take long. A few highlights, a story or two, and then you're done. When I sat down to think about Lisa's career and her contribution, I realized that summarizing her contributions in just a minute is nearly impossible. Her impact has been far too significant for that, but I'm going to do my best. I've had the privilege of working alongside Lisa since 2016, right down the hall in room 101. What I can tell you, what I know for sure, is that Lisa Rock is one of the most genuinely generous professionals I have ever met. When I transitioned from a classroom teacher to a teacher on assignment, under the leadership of Brandon Lutz, who's long been gone, but he worked very closely with Lisa Rock. It was Lisa who helped me find my footing. She never made me feel like I was an outsider. She welcomed me, she showed up, and she helped bridge the gap between what I knew as a classroom teacher and what the role required. She answered every question I brought her, no matter how small or how many times I asked. Yes, that's just who she is. Lisa came to us with a background that most of us in education don't have: deep real-world experience in computer science from private sector. And rather than keep that knowledge to herself, she turned it into fuel for our teachers and students. She had a gift for taking the most complex technology concepts and breaking them down in ways that made sense in a classroom. Whether she was leading a one-to-one on smart boards, facilitating Google trainings after school, or helping us launch our Summer Innovation Professional Learning Series, Lisa made every session feel approachable, practical, and worth the time. She also pushed me to grow beyond our CSD walls. Lisa encouraged and partnered with me on conference presentations, both locally and nationally, including P&C and ISTE. There's so many great things to say about Lisa, but what I keep coming back to is the relationships. Teachers called Lisa, principals called Lisa, administrative staff and administrators, yep, they called Lisa. She built a trust, a warmth, and a connection that went well beyond technology. Lisa, you are a professional, Google for Education certified trainer, a staff developer, a workshop facilitator, a mentor, and a truly impeccable, kind colleague. Cheltenham is a better school district because you are here. Thank you, Lisa. Congratulations on your retirement and come get your award. This is nice. You did it.
So Lisa and Tammy, if you guys could go to the back, you guys are just gonna have to work with me as we facilitate this process. Next to the podium, I'm gonna call Principal Nelson, who will be honoring our next retiree.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm standing before you as the proud interim principal at Cheltenham Elementary, but I am celebrating Mr. Doug Johnson, who is finishing his career at Cedarbrook East at the Mods, part of the Mod Squad. I don't know how to condense all that Mr. Johnson is into a very, very short amount of time. But the first thing that came to my mind when I was asked to speak on his behalf was this saying that he says all the time. I hear it in my head. Don't worry about it. I got it. And I've heard these words countless times come from him over the years. I had the honor of attending his retirement party with staff last week, staff that spanned decades, and they all came to celebrate the incomparable Doug Johnson. We laughed a lot and cried as each person spoke words that encompassed all that Doug is. He's an amazing educator who came to Cheltenham 32 years ago to teach fourth grade at Glenside, met his amazing wife. He's the coolest librarian I've ever seen at Elkins Park and a phenomenal phys ed teacher, not a gym teacher, because he always tells me gym is a place, not a subject. He's a phys ed teacher. Doug is so funny. He's just so funny. That is at the core of everything that he is. He just makes everyone laugh and just makes everyone feel welcome. He has a unique way of connecting with students and making them feel welcome and making them feel seen through his joking nature. He's always joking, always giving nicknames, and he finds something in every student that he comes across. One of my favorite memories came this year when a student that he kind of bonded with over hats gave him his favorite hat because they just had this relationship that was really built on their shared love of hats, even though he's not wearing one today. He's always wearing one. If you've attended our sixth grade camping trip and you get a camp name, his camp name was Hats. So he sees students and finds a way to celebrate their uniqueness in a way that can't be taught. It is just natural to him. And I could cry with the thoughts of all the teachers, the teachers and the students that he's really impacted over the years, including myself. We'll miss having Mr. Johnson gracing our halls. His neon sneakers will be hard to fill, but don't worry about it, Mr. Johnson, we got it.
Back to what? Thanks. No, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working for the district. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed teaching your kids. I've had the Haywoods who sat there many years ago, and now I have the Mulherns and I have the Whittings, the Finn and Jonathan. Those are their nicknames. But I really enjoyed myself, and I'm very grateful to have the time that I had here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And next up, could we have Principal Lytle come to the podium?
Good evening, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be here to honor 3 retirees. I would first like to acknowledge Ms. Geraldine Flynn Alston, who left us for a better place on May 4th of 2026. We celebrate her life and her legacy. Next, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Leah Smith. I'm excited to celebrate and honor an extraordinary career of Ms. Leah Smith, who retires after 25 years of dedicated service to the students, families, and staff of Myers Elementary School and the Cheltenham School District. Throughout her career, Ms. Smith has served in a variety of roles, including third grade teacher, kindergarten teacher, fourth grade teacher, second grade teacher, Title I reading specialist, and the list goes on. In each position, she brought the same passion, expertise, and unwavering commitment to students and their success. Her versatility as an educator and willingness to serve wherever she was needed, have left a lasting impact on our school community. Ms. Smith is deeply respected by her colleagues and beloved by the countless students whose lives she's touched. She has a unique gift for building meaningful relationships, creating a classroom environment where students feel valued and supported and challenged to achieve their very best. Her classroom has always been a place where high expectations are paired with compassion, where academic rigor is balanced with encouragement, and where every child knows that they are seen, loved, and capable of success. The impact of Ms. Smith's work extends far beyond the walls of her classroom. Through her dedicated patience and belief in children, she has helped shape the lives of generations of students and has contributed immeasurably to the culture and success of Myers Elementary. As she begins this well-earned retirement, we celebrate not only her accomplishments, but also the legacy she leaves behind, a legacy of excellence, kindness, service, and unwavering commitment to children. Ms. Smith, thank you for your 25 years of service. Your influence will continue to be felt for years to come, and you will always remain an important part of the Myers family and the Myers Peace Train. Thank you. Ms. Smith is not with us at this time, but I will accept her word on her behalf. And now I would like to call Mr. Schmidt. Come on, Mr. Schmidt. I'm going to stick to the script, but I love you, Mr. Schmidt. I do. He is an example of positivity. He is a phenomenal teacher. He is a motivator. He is beloved by students across this district. When the seniors came back, if you could see the line of kids that was there to just see you and speak about the impact that you had on them, it's amazing. You impact me each and every day. If I need something positive, I start with you every time. And I think you're awesome. Okay, let me read what I wrote, which is under a minute. Okay, tonight we have the privilege of recognizing and celebrating Mr. Schmidt for more than 30 years of exceptional service to the students, families, and community of the Cheltenham School District. Over the course of his career, Mr. Schmidt has taught multiple grades and impacted countless students. While he is an outstanding educator, his influence extends far beyond academics. He has helped students grow socially, emotionally, and in character, and understanding that the most meaningful things that we learn begin with strong relationships. Mr. Schmidt has a nickname for every child in his class. Not just this year, every year, but we talk about relationships. I'll let him share some of those nicknames. Moving on. Mr. Schmidt has always recognized that when students know they are valued, respected, and cared for, they are willing to take risks, embrace challenges, and reach their fullest potential. His classroom has been a place where learning is engaging, rigorous, welcoming, and fun. He has a unique ability to make every student feel important, connected, transforming lessons into experiences that inspire a lifelong love of learning. Beyond the classroom, Mr. Schmidt created something truly special through his lunchtime football league, his lunch. For decades, he has brought students together through teamwork, sportsmanship, and friendly competition, creating traditions and memories that have become a part of the fabric of the Myers Elementary School. Perhaps the greatest measure of his impact is that year after year, graduating seniors return to Myers to visit Mr. Schmidt to share their successes and to reflect on the positive influence he has had on their lives. Their stories serve as a powerful reminder that teachers do more than teach lessons, they shape lives. Mr. Schmidt, thank you for touching the hearts and minds of generations of children. Your dedication, compassion, and commitment to excellence have left an enduring legacy that will continue to inspire students and staff for years to come. On behalf of the Cheltenham School District and the Myers community, congratulations on your well-deserved retirement, and thank you for your extraordinary service.
Hey, Mr. Lytle knows I'm very, very quiet and shy in crowd. Now, listen, I just want to say I feel so blessed to be able to have this run with all of you. And I know I've taught some of your children and, you know, to see all the successes that the kids go through. It has been an absolute wonderful ride. And I want to thank you for making retirement such a hard decision. Well, it's a hard decision. And it's because of the love of this community, you know, the parents, the kids, the staff. I feel very, very fortunate to have all 34 of my years at Myers, which is an amazing school. I want to thank Mr. Lytle for his leadership and his guidance. And I just want to thank all of you for making what we do possible. This is something really, truly amazing. And I just, like I said, I will forever remember this. And I truly feel so blessed to be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Next, we will have Principal Teller, Wyncote Elementary School.
Settle in. Mary Chinta. Mary faithfully served Wyncote for 19 years as a cafeteria and recess aide. Mrs. Chinta made our cafeteria a free space where the stranger could enter and become a friend instead of an enemy. By offering the gift of her gentle presence, she offered hospitality, not to change people, but to offer the space where change might take place. Mrs. Chinta did this in gentle conversations she had with generations of students. In the many shoes she tied, in the many games of recess tag she supervised, in the million milk cartons that she opened, and the millions of spills she wiped up from those open milk cartons. Mrs. Chinta retired from Wyncote in October and has truly settled into her retirement. She finally took a bucket list trip to return to India with her beloved spouse to reconnect with her family she had not seen for decades. We wish you much happiness, Mary, and travel in your retirement, and know that we will continue, and we know that you will continue to offer your gifts of hospitality, making friends and creating safe spaces for people to simply be. Thank you and congratulations. Miss Sundry. I know you're not shy. Let's go. Come on up. From the moment you walked into my kindergarten classroom 11 years ago to support a student, I realized that you had many gifts to offer as a one-on-one special education paraeducator. At one time or another, we all need help. You know who, Fred Rogers, observes that whether we are giving or receiving help, each one of us has something of value to bring to the situation. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each of us is a giver and a receiver. While I would be quick to say that Wyncote students and staff received more than we gave you, you would be equally quick to say that you received more than you gave. To see the evidence of your work and generosity of your spirit, all you have to do is look at the accomplishments of your students who over a period of time reduced their need for you to manage their emotional and behavioral challenges. You have worked yourself out of a job. And it's not only the hearts of children you have touched. Every teacher you have worked with comments that you are always willing to support anybody at any time. And as a new principal, you ask me every day, what can I do for you? There are mornings when I arrive and you're already there, opening the door for students arriving for any number of clubs or music rehearsals. You cheerfully field early morning phone calls until the building secretary arrives. There is no task that you are not willing to help with, offering a sense of tremendous value to every situation. As you begin your retirement, we know that your life philosophy of giving and receiving will continue. In just a few months, you'll become a grandma for the first time. Your daughter, son-in-law, and new grandson will be so fortunate that you have created space for them as they settle into being a new family unit. Between your travels back home to Trinidad to check in on family and your spoiling of your new grandchild, your days and nights will be full. But please know that whenever you want to travel from one corner of Rice's Mill Road from your house to your second home on the other corner of Rice's Mill Road, our doors will always be open to receive your many gifts and give back to you our love and undying thanks for your amazing career. Congratulations, Sundri. You're not going to say, okay, I get it. Dave Cohen. Music is the one art we all have inside. All of us have had the experience of hearing a tune from childhood and having that melody evoke a memory or a feeling. The music we hear early on tends to stay with us all our lives. For the past 20 years, you have enriched generations of second, third, and fourth graders at Wyncote with the rhythm of fluent reading, the steady beat of math facts, and you have allowed students to compose their own lyrics and sing their own songs through the writing process. Your classroom is a carefully choreographed space, some days not so carefully choreographed, so that students can dance from whole group instruction to small group support to independent practice. And you, Dave, you dance with them, constantly exploring new ways to bring in some tidbit of information that is related in some way to a lesson you are teaching, particularly if a map is involved. Each and every day, your guitar has been a constant presence in the classroom. There were days when my classroom was directly across the hall from yours in the old Wyncote, and I would hear you at lunch or on your prep just strumming the strings. What I came to learn is that you would also be thinking about an upcoming lesson or the next gig. The guitar is the way that you cleared your mind and made space for the creative process to happen. As you move into retirement, you will continue to cultivate the one art we all have inside. You will find new rhythms of time on the northern neck of Virginia with your mom. You will continue to explore the steady beat you have created with your beautiful Anne Marie. And many happy audiences will sing and dance with you as you play it forward. Thank you for helping generations of students and colleagues Learn to be more confident in the songs that we sing with our very lives. Please know you're always welcome to bring the guitar back and sing with us at Wyncote. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you very much for tomorrow 19. Yeah. Let me just grab my phone.
Carefully choreographed.
Thank you very much, Jim and Cheltenham. I would like to thank the Wyncote and Cheltenham Township family, which has embraced me for the past 20 years as a teacher and 26 years overall since I arrived here from Mount Airy in Germantown. This includes the students and families, my grade partners and support staff, the building administration, Jim Taylor, Elsie Russell, and previously Crystal Clark, who actually hired me at Wyncote 20 years ago. I also want to thank my 3 grown children, Maya, Clay, and Nathaniel, who went through all the Cheltenham schools, starting at Glenside Elementary. It is so great to live and work and raise my family in the same community. Thank you very much.
Right. Mrs. Landolfi.
Good try.
Oh. I'm doing pretty well so far. In Mary Oliver's poem, Summer Day, she asks, tell me, what do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? The poet would say that the answer is to simply pay attention and marvel at the ordinary magic around you. For 28 and a half years, you, Lisa, have paid attention. And you created ordinary magic at Wyncote. You are a strong communicator and passionate advocate for our K-2 students who receive both itinerant and supplemental learning support. You have commented often that this has been your life's work, and it is your authentic response to Oliver's question. You have written numerous IEPs, mentored generations of students, and supported teachers and paraeducators with data collection, and supervised more student teachers than I can count, most recently, Miss Warren. And each of them were fortunate to be in your care as they wondered about their one wild and precious life. Most importantly, you have celebrated the magic of student growth. Even the most incremental growth warranted a celebration. Through your constant contact with families, you gave voice to the often confusing special education process, to anxious parents, which was just another way of creating ordinary magic. You've also mentored colleagues in how to write an IEP and novice principals and how to read them and understand them. More than any other person, you pay attention to life, and you are fully present and alive to it. As you begin this new chapter of your life, you will find new ways to be alive. You will spend time in the garden. You will care for your beloved mother. You will marvel at your brand new great-grandson. But you will also take time for yourself, exploring questions of faith and the existential question of what is the meaning of life with a spiritual guide. And you will have time to pay greater attention to your dreams and your strong connection to the spirit world. You are still answering the poet's question, What do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And we look forward to seeing how you will answer it. Congratulations.
He made me cry. We may have to lower that thing. He wasn't supposed to make me cry, but he made me cry. I'm going to keep it real simple. I started my career way back when with the whole idea that I was going to come in to special education and make a difference. Because when I started my career, and this would be 32 years ago, I didn't like how special ed was, and I wasn't happy with it, and I didn't like what I saw. So here was me. I had 4 young children, and I was going to make a difference in the world of special education. I was going to be an advocate for children, an advocate for parents, an advocate for my colleagues. I wanted to do that. I will tell you the first 3 years, I probably cried a lot because I was like, well, what did I get myself into? But as time went on, my heart, like the Grinch, grew and grew and grew. And I realized I was in the right place. Thank you, Cheltenham, for allowing me to grow, to share your children, because everyone that walked through that door, I have loved and I still love. And they will always have a big piece of my heart. And every one of my colleagues, thank you to Miss Warren, who has been an amazing support. And to Mr. Taylor, I think we grew a lot together. So thank you, Cheltenham. It's been a journey, and I'm looking forward to my next magical journey. So thank you.
Yep. I love you too. Thank you.
If the Winco family could meet in the back for.
We have one more.
Oh, there's one.
I know you want me to be done, but we have one more.
No, I love this.
That's the right answer. And while each of my colleagues, it's tough to say goodbye to each one of you, this is a tough one too. Molly Brookerson. For 26 years, Mrs. Brookerson has been part of the Cheltenham School District, serving at Myers and Cheltenham Elementary before coming to Wyncote. For 16 of those years at Wyncote, I have had the privilege and pleasure of being Mrs. Brookerson's colleague, but more importantly, her friend, which makes this a very difficult talk to give as we say thank you and goodbye. Mrs. Brookerson and I taught kindergarten together for a year at Wyncote, part of the dream team that included Mrs. Ward and Mrs. Cifelli. The 4 of us had lunch together every day, and we became part of the fabric of each other's lives. It also makes this goodbye difficult because we know way too much about each other. And I'm promising to keep this mostly professional. With her no-nonsense approach, Mrs. Brookerson has taught kindergarten, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and spent this past year with our inaugural class of 5th graders. And I'm really hoping that my decision to move her to 5th grade is not what precipitated this decision. Last November, I saw one of the finest lessons that I've ever observed as Mrs. Brookerson integrated financial literacy with the math skills of addition and subtraction of decimals, as 5th graders were given a budget and had to plan a Thanksgiving meal. As they explored the various circulars from local grocery stores, students collaborated to plan their meal. It was a real-world application to abstract math concepts. When I was appointed the interim principal at Wyncote in 2020, Mrs. Brookerson was the CEA building rep. And when I returned as the principal in 2022, she was still the building rep and is the current elementary contract specialist. It is not easy going from being a colleague and close friend to being the supervisor and the boss. But Mrs. Brookerson made the transition seamless for me. One moment that I looked forward to every month was our time together to field any concerns that had been brought to her attention. Mrs. Brookerson always describes herself as a rule follower. So I learned quickly and early on that I too would be following the rules of the contract. Because of our friendship, our mutual admiration and respect for each other, we were able to problem solve issues, and she kept me out of grievance court, for which I am eternally grateful. Next to my desk at home, it will come as no surprise that a framed quote attributed to you-know-who watches over me. It says, to love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right now. Mrs. Brookerson has a big heart and a hearty laugh. With patience and grace, she accepts people for who they are. Students, parents, union members, building level administrators, central office administrators, and even me. And now for a little of the personal. Molly has always accepted me and made me feel like her family. It has been my joy to watch her 5 beautiful children grow into the young, beautiful adults that they are becoming. To have her dance at my wedding and be in practically every wedding picture. To drinking an Amstel Light with you, the only one I've ever had, and sharing endless laughs and ordinary moments. I'll have to break the habit of dialing 2711 every single day, sometimes multiple times, just to laugh with you. I'll save it all up for our annual New Year's Day visit with your family and your dog. Molly, you have been my ride or die. And I can never thank you enough for your professionalism, your support, your encouragement, and your unconditional love. Congratulations, my dear friend, on this retirement.
Wyncote, you're able to go to the back now. I'm looking at Dr. Hammond, Dr. Russell, and Dr. Robinson in terms of who wants to go next. The principal tell Dr. Robinson, come on up, man. Glenside Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Robinson, and it is my pleasure to be here this evening and share some words about the retirement of 2 very special people. For once in my life, I'm going to be a rule follower. And while it's hard to keep it to 1 minute, I want to start off by sharing about Sue Dunham. Sue Dunham could not be here this evening. She did stop in and break bread with us, but she's off to another retirement party. And so I will accept her gift on her behalf. So I came in 2017, and one of the things that stood out to me first was when you walk the halls and you walk by her class, we were very intentional about having morning meeting. And one thing that she would say is to her to her students is, what's good today? And it would really start the day with some positive things about what's happening in their lives, making connections with them. And that is who Miss Dunham was. She was our leader, teacher leader in our positive psychology. She led our Monday mindfulness practice every week for the entire 9 years that I've been here. And she just really did a lot to make sure that she supported students with structure, with love, and with care. She had wonderful relationships. One that stands out to me is with her as a kindergarten teacher, where she served the most of her time with Miss Dupree. Their relationship and their teamwork and their collaboration was just something to marvel at. Students were cared for and students were expected to learn, and we will forever be thankful for that and for all the Glenside Bears who she's shown some impact. She's now a second grade teacher, and you can find her in the hallways with her happy retirement class of 2026. And we wish Ms. Dunham very well in her next chapter and all the things that she pursue, and she will be missed at Glenside. Congratulations again to Ms. Dunham. I'm also going to call up now Miss Jackson, Diane Jackson. Miss Diane Jackson, she's been with us for the last 3 years, and she served as the lunch and recess teacher, I call them, at Glenside. And if you know anything about Cheltenham, you know that we care about play, right? We care about getting students out there, getting some fresh air, getting movement. And there was no one better to hire and get students active than Miss Jackson. When we adopted the Playworks framework at Glenside, Miss Jackson was one of the first recess aides to step up and really embody what the framework was asking us to do. And she'd be out there, she'd lead the games, and the students just really enjoyed her. She reminded them as they left each day what was expected at recess, and then she greeted them and got them what they needed when they came into the lunchroom. And we are so forever thankful for that, Ms. Jackson. Not only did she care deeply about the students and did expert work in terms of supervising students during play, but she was just also a really good colleague. Ms. Jackson was always the first to show love and care to her colleagues. If we were going through something, if there was somebody that experienced a loss, Ms. Jackson was there to show them that attention. And we thank you for that, and you will be very missed. And we wish you well in your retirement. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doc. Is it working? Oh, thank you, Dr. Robinson. I love you.
Dr. Robinson, just before you sit down, just want to acknowledge Dr. Robinson, just taking a point of privilege. And I have something under my hat for a little later on in the year, but this is her last official legislative meeting with us at Cheltenham School District. And I would be remiss for not acknowledging her 9+ years as principal at Glenside Elementary. And on behalf of myself and the Board of Education, we just wish you all the best with your future endeavors. And thank you for coming out tonight just to acknowledge your retirees. She is a woman of integrity and is doing this job to the fullest all the way to the end. The emails, the texts, she is a constant advocate for her building, and we really appreciate you. Thank you. Next, we'll have Dr. Russell.
Good evening, everyone. I am helping with Sharice Nelson, the interim principal at Cheltenham Elementary School, to recognize Gerald Unks, the newly Dr. Gerald Unks. I am Elsie Russell, the lead administrator at CBK East, but I started at Cheltenham Elementary, and that's where I met Dr. Unks. I am honored to recognize Gerald as he retires after 35 years in education, including 17 years of service to the Cheltenham School District. Gerald has served as the gifted supervisor, the math supervisor, STEM teacher, challenge teacher, so many roles. When I first met Gerald in the district 11 years ago, I was a reading specialist at that time, and he supported the elementary math specialist as the math supervisor. I quickly came to know Gerald as kind, supportive, and a knowledgeable leader. He was always willing to share his expertise and to also help others grow. Later, when Gerald returned to the classroom as the Cheltenham Elementary School's challenge and gifted teacher, I saw another side of him. I saw an educator who inspired students every day. He sparked curiosity. He challenged students to think creatively. He opened doors to new experiences. Whether it was robotics and these creations that I still to this day do not know what they are. He competed locally, showcasing the students and their talents in robotics. Gerald helped children discover what they are capable of learning. I was also fortunate to work closely with Gerald when we launched this Welcoming Student Ambassador program at Cheltenham Elementary School. Through that experience, I was able to see both the leader and the teacher, and I am grateful for that. Gerald, thank you for your dedication, for your leadership, and for the countless lives you have touched. Thank you for choosing Cheltenham and for making our schools a better place for students and staff alike. Congratulations on your remarkable career and best wishes for a happy retirement. Gerald was not able to stay. He's about to retire, of course, but his wife and him were here at the celebration earlier. So congratulations, Gerald, and thank you.
Dr. Hammond, Cheltenham High School.
I have to go after all that. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, it is my privilege to recognize the retirement of Mr. Scott Eisner, who began his career in Cheltenham in August of '91 and has dedicated more than 3 decades to educating and inspiring students. This retirement is especially meaningful to me personally. In 2002, while I was working in the district and completing my master's degree, I had the privilege of completing my student teaching under Mr. Eisner's guidance as my cooperating teacher. His organization, preparation, and approach to teaching helped shape the educator I became. In fact, many of the planning techniques that he taught me more than 20 years ago are still techniques that I use today. I consider myself fortunate to have learned from him, but I am certainly not alone. Over the years, Scott has influenced countless students and educators, and our profession is better because of his dedication, and expertise. When I asked Scott about his most memorable experiences, he said there were many, but one that stood out was navigating the challenges of COVID and teaching from his basement. His most favorable memories, however, came from leading future problem-solving teams to state and international competitions and watching students achieve at the highest levels. When I asked what he would miss most, his answer was simple: the people. The colleagues, supervisors, and students who made an impact on his life over the years. And of course, he mentioned he might even miss the structure of living by the bell. And although he admitted he'll probably get over that pretty quickly. Scott, thank you for your 34 years of service and mentorship and the lasting impact you have had on generations of students and educators. We wish you nothing but happiness, health, and success in retirement. And personally, I can't wait to witness what I fully expect will be your Benjamin Button aging process beginning the day after retirement officially starts. Congratulations, Scott, and thank you for everything.
Really quick. You promise I'm gonna get some hair back? I just want to say thank you to the district for giving me the opportunity to teach for 35 years, something that I have always wanted to do, and you guys let me do it. So I just want to say thank you.
Hard to go back to business after such a great celebratory hour. Thank you to all of our retirees for being here with us and to our building leadership for telling us all about your colleagues and helping us celebrate them tonight. We will now move on to approve the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move, Zachary.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Blitzstein, thank you. All those in favor of passing the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, abstentions? Thank you. The minutes are passed. We do not have a student council report at this time. We will have a new student representative back in August or September when we reconvene for the next school year. Solicitors report, Mr. Diazio.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. The board did meet in executive session on the 26th of May. The topic of that executive session was to discuss the terms and conditions of the Act 93 agreement. The Act 93 agreement is on the agenda this evening for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the superintendent's report, Dr. Scriven.
So good evening to our Cheltenham community, to the Cheltenham Board of Directors. At this time, I would like to call to the podium Ms. Michelle Kern and Ms. Karen Lehman. They're here to give the overview presentation for Center for Safe Schools in terms of the district findings and their recommendations from a district perspective. We would like to field questions, but it's not going to be tonight. So if you're viewing electronically or if you are in person, we would just ask that you would forward any questions. They are more than willing to answer those questions, and we can do a frequently asked questions that we would post on our website. So I'm going to yield my time temporarily to the two of them. I thank you for your patience through our retirement and student recognitions. The podium is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity for us to be here tonight. I'm Karen Lehman. I'm the Director of the Safe and Supportive Environments at the Center for Schools and Communities in Camp Hill. We are a division of the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit, and we house the Center for Safe Schools, a lot of centers. Center for Safe Schools. I'd like to begin by briefly framing the role of the Center for Safe Schools and the perspective that we bring to this work. Our mission is to provide schools and their communities with the resources, training, and technical assistance needed to create and sustain safe, productive learning environments. When we talk about school safety, we're talking about more than physical infrastructure or locked doors. A school may have strong security measures in place, but if students and staff do not feel safe, then the work is incomplete. That broader understanding of safety, one that includes both physical security and the lived experience of the school community, is what guides this assessment process. Next slide, please. The second and third slides are very general information about the assessment process. They're not particular to the assessments that were done at Cheltenham. So these are just general assessment criteria. School safety assessments are conducted using the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency criteria. We often say PCCD. So if you hear that acronym, that stands for the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. And these assessments are designed to provide a broad view of school safety and readiness. The assessments examine not only physical safety measures, but also policies, training, behavioral health supports, and school climate. It's important to emphasize that these assessments are not intended to label a school as safe or unsafe. Rather, they offer a snapshot of current practices and systems, helping districts identify their strengths, opportunities for growth, and priorities for continuous improvement. The purpose is to support a proactive, thoughtful approach to student and staff safety over time. Next slide, please. In March of 2025, the assessment criteria were revised to reflect current laws, regulations, and emerging best practices. These updates were made to the PCCD School Safety and Security Committee and were aligned with Pennsylvania's school safety baseline criteria. The revised criteria also incorporate a stronger emphasis on policy implementation, staff training, behavioral health supports, threat assessment, and prevention-focused practices. As a result, schools are now being assessed against a broader and more comprehensive set of expectations than in previous years. In many cases, schools that may have met earlier benchmarks are now being asked to demonstrate stronger systems and more complete implementation. So I'm reading these names from the bottom up. These are the folks that were involved in the school assessments at your buildings. Jamie Barrett. So at the center, we don't have enough staff to do all of the assessments across the state of Pennsylvania that we're asked to do. And so we have a roster of assessors that we contract with. And Jamie Barrett is the CEO of Protect Security Solutions, and he has decades of experience in law enforcement and physical safety, specializing in designing and assessing protection systems. Dr. John Kremser is the department chair and a professor of criminal justice at Kutztown University, and John did a few of the assessments. Leah is on our staff at the center, and she is a lead trainer for our Alveus bullying prevention program. And Leah's been with the Center for Safe Schools for 25 years.
26 now.
26 years. So she brings with her a lot of experience. And then Michelle, who many of you have met already and who's going to give you the results of the safety assessments. She's with us tonight. She's our Safe Schools coordinator, and she's one of the few assessors in Pennsylvania that can do both physical and behavior and climate safety assessments. Michelle.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to come. I always offer this to my schools, and I want to say you're the first that have actually brought me to a board meeting. So I think that says a lot for wanting to be transparent and actually caring about your school safety. So I just want to say that my background is in victim service, mental health, and trauma-informed care. I have been doing assessments in schools for 6 years, and I've completed 60 plus on my own, and I have read over 200. I've read all of your school districts and many other school districts at this point. And as Karen said, I am actually one of 5 active PCCD approved assessors that is able to do both the physical and the behavioral health. So, all right, as we look at this slide, these score bands were created by the Center for Safe Schools. I was part of creating these, and our company that we work with to create the app that we use, SlideSoft, to help leaders understand what schools need to focus their attention or resources on. This is not a grade. I know teachers get so focused on being graded, but this is not a grade, it's a guide. Please understand that these reports are over 100-page per school. So you got 600 pages. So where do you start? That can be very overwhelming, and many do not know where to start or what to focus on. These numbers help leadership focus on what should be the priority. Please keep this in mind as we move forward. If you can go to the next slide. So these are the overall assessment scores for each school. Again, these are not grades, but a guiding tool to help you make decisions. Safety and security assessments are your traditional assessments. I always say you lock your doors, you make sure your windows aren't broken. We came in and we looked at your kitchens and made sure that you had the right fire extinguisher, things like that. And then when you're looking at your behavioral health and school climate, you're more than your physical security measures. It's looking at how students, staff, and families are experiencing the school environment. It includes relationships, connectedness, communication, trust, and the school climate. School climate is so important because it influences attendance, engagement, reporting behaviors, and overall well-being. A school can have a strong physical safety, but school still score low in that school climate category. So if you want to go on to the next slide. So as you saw in that previous slide, the Cheltenham High School and Cheltenham Elementary School scored lower than the rest. So Dr. Scriven asked me to focus on them in transparency. So I will start with the high school. And going into it, we knew this was the oldest building in the district. So we knew that there were some current best safety practices that might not be feasible going in, right? So if you want to go to the next slide. Within our report, we actually break down exterior, interior, and then your security and policy practices. So when we're looking at this slide, we see that traffic is lower than the other categories. This might concern how your buses, staff, parents, and student drivers drive on campus and where they park. I think in a perfect scenario, bus drop-off doesn't maybe intermingle with the parent drop-off, and student drivers might not be walking past car drop-off to get to the door. And for the door access control, that might be a little bit lower. The high school has many doors, many doors, and also includes 2 main entrances due to the accessibility. Having more door access points makes it harder for security to control a perimeter. So those are just some things that might lower a score. On to the next slide. For the interior, we have interior door access and door windows. This might include upgrading door handles to the current best practice door handles, making sure doors are locked, especially when there's an empty classroom, having better wayfinding signage so that emergency responders can find their way around the building, and interior classroom doors being numbered. I notice your buildings have great exterior, but making sure that the interior matches as well. But I also want to highlight you have a lot of blue on here, so you're doing a lot of things right as well. If you want to go on to the next slide. All right, for this slide, I pulled out community. So this might include some things in landscape that might not even be able to be changed, but affect safety and planning. So I noticed that the high school is right near a major highway. Obviously, you can't move your high school, but we should keep that in mind when you're planning safety. When you're planning your emergency operation plans, you want to keep that in mind that you're not going to have your rally point right next to the highway. Things like that. And with communication, systems need to communicate effectively in an emergency. Do they work? Do they work for everyone? Are ADA requirements being met? And does everybody know about the communication systems? All right, on to the next slide. All right, for the behavioral health and school climate assessments, we are looking at 4 categories. So what behavioral health supports are in place for the school and the district? What is the school climate, or what is the feel of the school? Policy and training. So in the behavioral health, this looks at bullying prevention, threat assessment, safe to say, and other behavioral health related items. And then the final thing we look at is what is the current perception of safety? So when we look at physical safety, like I said, the doors are locked, but if the staff and students don't feel safe in the building, what's the point of having all that physical safety? I also want to point out, we also look at staff climate. Do the staff stay? And after the last hour, I think tonight proves that you have staff that's been here 30, 40 years. So it seems like the staff stay. And I want to point out that these assessments are a point in time. So I was at Cheltenham, I think on the 6th of January. It was right after school break. And then Cheltenham Elementary, I was on the 8th. So this is a point in time. So recent incidents understandably affect perception of safety. However, the assessment also shows positive practices, including active supervision, visible safety presence, established reporting systems, and engaged staff. Recommendations said to focus on strengths and reinforcing existing systems rather than creating new ones. The behavioral health support scored lower, as I tend to find in most large districts. They have a lot to offer, but PCCD has their own best practices. For example, another guidance counselor to meet the one for every 250 students ratio, continued advanced training for the student assistance program team, and more awareness of your threat assessment team. Next slide. All right, Cheltenham. Moving on to Cheltenham. The safety assessment was done on 4/16. And like I said, the behavioral health and school climate was completed on 1/8/2026. You want to go to the next slide? So while I didn't do the physical safety, I did make sure I talked to all the assessors who did do the physical safety, so I know what I'm talking about. So the lighting is actually lower due to the abundance of foliage around the school and making sure that the light used doesn't create pockets of shadows or hiding spaces. It also means having consistent lighting at all the doors and the parking lot and the playground. Door access control has to do with the designated entrance and exit doors. The more door staff and students used to enter at arrival and dismissal, the harder it is to control a perimeter. For the main entrance and doors and windows, items like double looped handles, line of sight, maybe the need for bollards may lower the score. PCCD is also recommending security film on all doors and windows. So that would be for all your schools. Just to let you know. Next slide. All right, I just want to point out and highlight here, you have a lot of blue again. You have many physical safety systems in place. But when we look at this slide, we might see that the interior doors and windows scored lower. This alerts leadership that they might need to do some upgrades in this area. Some items that may need upgrading or you might want to consider are door handles, having that shatterproof film on the doors and windows, and definitely installing some door alarms. Next slide. All right, now we're seeing yellow. Maybe we're getting a little nervous. Don't get nervous. So there are no security personnel at any of the district's elementary school. So that immediately will bring down your score. It's not at 0 because the district has security. So then the integrated security will touch on the school's cameras, if there are blind spots, if the cameras are being actively versus passively watched, and if the school has a panic button. Behavioral recognition looks at the behavioral threat assessment team and the policy and procedures in place. I also want to highlight that the procedures and code of conduct has received high remarks. Procedures include your safety committee, your drills, your training, and your emergency operation plan. The only thing I found was that your substitute and temporary staff are not provided safety training before they report. So there's one thing for your schools to work on. Next slide. All right. With Cheltenham Elementary Schools, behavioral health and climate assessment. The assessment identified climate-related challenges that were more pronounced than those observed anywhere else in the district. Now, I only did 3 behavioral health and climate assessments. I did it at Cedarbrook Middle School, Cheltenham High School, and then Cheltenham Elementary School. The purpose of identifying these concerns is to ensure that the school receives appropriate support, resources, and attention moving forward. Remember, this assessment is a snapshot in time. It's how the building was on January 8th. It does not take into account anything that has been put into place. We are now on, what is it, June 9th? June 9th. So next slide. So the policy and training is very similar to the high schools because these are district-wide policies. Any differences would be in consistency from the 2 schools. For the behavioral health supports, a lower score could be due to the school not having a student assistance team aligned with PCCD best practices. Across the board, the district will need to work with a regional SAP coordinator to incorporate SAP functions into their MTSS teams. Ensure continued compliance. It's getting late. Compliance. School climate in part has to do with student and staff recognition. It was also noted that there is a large PTO presence at the elementary school. I was super impressed. There were many incidents of positive messaging and PBIS reward opportunities. The motto and school mascot is known throughout the building, and overall, it's just a really cute elementary school. Some items that could help the school climate include having an after action review or debriefing policy, following any threats or crisis events to assess their impact on the school climate, and redoing the staff room for more staff recognition. Perception of safety, again, I want to highlight that this is the feeling of safety and security. This was the staff. Did they feel supported after the winter break? And did they need more to keep the students safe? So, next slide. All right, I just wanted to highlight a few key themes across the district. So we have our strengths. You had so many dedicated staff and administrators. I personally talked to over 50 of your staff. They were all wonderful. You have welcoming school environments. And you have so many existing safety and behavioral health supports. I was very pleased to hear how many supports you have coming into your district and how many were being used by your staff and your students. And no matter who I talked to, everything was about the students. How can I get more help for the students? How can we help the students grow? I want to make this school better for the students. It was never about the teacher. So some things that I want to point out is hoping that your district will work on more consistency across the buildings, having more integrated systems with communication, some physical security enhancements, door alarms, things like that, and some expanded behavioral health capacities, especially with your SAP team. And obviously, we have already talked about the targeted supports. Now, the next slide, I want to turn it over to Dr. Scriven.
So thank you, Ms. Kern, for that report. And the last slide kind of segues to one of the statements that were mentioned earlier, and that is that we have done some work based on feedback that we had already received. She alluded to the fact that their report was a snapshot in time. We had identified the need to do additional work with our staff in terms of training with being trauma informed. I had stated, especially to the Cheltenham Elementary community, but this is also going to mirror itself with the work that we do at Cheltenham High School as well, which are the two schools which we're prioritizing, even though we're looking at what upgrades we need to make in terms of leveling up district-wide. I just had an opportunity to meet with the safety management team at the high school today, where they have prioritized pretty much what they feel are immediate next steps and action items that we should carry out through the summer. Under my superintendent's report, in addition to the report that the Center for Safe Schools just conducted, will be a PowerPoint presentation that will explain the professional development that has happened at Cheltenham Elementary School. And as we stated in our action plan, we were also going to have a series of family and community engagement opportunities. We did hold 3 of those, and there's also in a PowerPoint format an executive summary of what those findings, the themes, recommendations, and what the continued work is going to look like in with respect to empowering parents and community stakeholders. So that is an approximately a 17-slide presentation that, for the sake of time, I'm not going to cover this evening, but that will be a document for all to view publicly. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention here in person, whether you're over joining with us virtually, and again for our communities to view, and that will be available probably tomorrow morning at the latest. So at this point, I will turn the mic over to Madam Chair. And once again, I thank both of you for your time with us this evening.
Yes, thank you to both of you for sticking with us. We appreciate it. My report is, oh, we're clapping. Sorry, we're clapping. Yes, thank you. I don't have much of a report other than it is 2.5 days left of the school year. We had an amazing graduation ceremony last week. Throughout the rest of this week, schools will celebrate promotions and all kinds of events and parties, and our students get to celebrate their last few days in whatever their current classroom is. So to all of our staff and administrators and teachers, you're almost there, and happy summer. And we will move on to our committee reports. And first up is the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, Ms. Lohman.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. The Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board met on Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in person at the MCIU's main office in Norristown and over Zoom. The meeting started with a retirement celebration for 14 MCIU staff members, and then we transitioned into a presentation on how the MCIU supports global learning from Dr. Mike Webb, who's the Assistant Director of the Office of Organizational and Professional Learning. He noted that the MCIU has started a Montco World Languages Council for world language teachers, because there is a significant need for world language teachers at the moment, and we want the ones we do have to feel supported. Higher education institutions are cutting their world language programs, thereby reducing the available pipeline for teachers. So there is a definite shortage in that area. Dr. Webb also noted that students who are proficient in at least 2 languages can be eligible for the Pennsylvania Seal of Biliteracy. This is an industry recognized credential for the graduation pathway purposes that we discussed a couple weeks ago at the Ed Affairs Committee meeting. He also mentioned that the MCIU has formed a relationship with a high-performing high school in Beijing, China, called Beijing 101, that has a partnership with Lenovo. And they are establishing a teacher exchange program with this school. We received an update from the ad hoc committee on the board on travel reimbursement policies and procedures. Just a reminder, this ad hoc committee was established to study travel reimbursement policies and procedures after the Inquirer reported that the MCIU's executive director and some other administrative staff had taken transatlantic trips that were quite expensive. The on the MCIU sort of had been budgeted, but there were questions about why those trips were made. Anyway, so this ad hoc committee has been established. They've convened and defined the scope of their work and set some timelines for completion. An outside investigator has also been hired to look at the procedures and policies and kind of investigate what has been going on or not going on. And the final report is anticipated from the investigator by the end of June. 9 policies were approved for second reading and adoption. 11 policies were presented for first reading, including policy 006, which is about board meetings. There was an extended discussion about whether the MCIU should record its board meetings, and if so, for how long. How long should those recordings remain on the IU's website? There was a whole wide range of opinion about this because some school districts only keep their recorded meetings on their website for 30 days. Some keep them there forever. Lots of places are in between. Ultimately, it was agreed that the policy should reflect that the meeting should be recorded and posted on the MCIU's website for 2 years. At the end of the meeting, there were 4 persons desiring to be heard who addressed the board. All were current MCIU employees who were presenting remarks on behalf of their colleagues who were concerned about the lack of effective paid training for the majority of staff, the lack of reimbursement for professional development needed for the maintenance of credentials, and the lack of special instructors and case managers in the early intervention program. One speaker specifically requested that professional development funds be distributed equitably. After the public meeting, that was the end of the public meeting, there was a 3-hour executive session to which I was to discuss personnel. We left the building at 12:55. The next Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 24th, 2026 at 6:45 p.m. at the MCIU's main office in Norristown and Overzoom.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Financial Affairs, Mr. Epps.
Thank you and greetings. Congratulations to those still in the room for lasting this long and also anyone listening shop. I'm Zachary Epps, co-chair of the Finance Committee. We met last week on June 2nd, 2026. I'll have to kick off my remarks with appreciation. When you have nothing else to say or something, say thank you. I think that's one of the quotes we hear. But honestly, thank you to Mr. Swigert. Joshua Swigert here is representing him, but he's not the only person on the team and admin who has displayed consistent alignment from strategy to execution, right? In school districts that has an issue of the day almost every week. We've heard the same diligence and again, forward thinking from our administration related to our finances, not just this year, but over the last 5 years, 8 years, literally what we need to know and the decisions that we need to make. So I wanted to express appreciation to our administrative team, especially as we are at the final stages of our budget process, which is no easy task for the team. During the meeting, we did talk about the interim financial reports. We reviewed some of the agenda items that folks can see, everything from our transportation contract to learning platforms, to how to get a discount on your tax bill. All of that is things we'll consider tonight. And then one of the most important aspects is, again, revenue for the district. And so this final budget that we are considering does have a balanced budget without the use of our fund balance, and also does include a proposal for a 3.5% tax increase for this next year. And so part of that context is the district is not the only district, but what we are challenged with a decline from tax assessments, a decline in revenue due to tax assessments and some appeals that have gone through. Again, that's not unique to Cheltenham, but we have felt that. But again, in part due to the diligence and strategic forward thinking, again, the budget is balanced without the use of our fund balance, which is important as we think about the years ahead in the conversations that we'll be having. There's a lot of information that I won't go through tonight, but is included in our records in the slide deck. Everything from an average monthly increase, what folks can expect from the final proposal, again, all the way to things like the homestead exemption and some more information from some of our other agenda items. And so again, that is up for consideration for tonight. So a little farther in our conversation. And that will end my report for financial affairs. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Educational Affairs, Ms. Blitzstein.
Thank you very much. The Educational Affairs Committee last met on Tuesday, May 26th at the Administration Building and via Zoom. The agenda included 4 items: graduation and Act 158 pathway report, a special education update, a gifted education identification update, and planning for EPIC for the 26-27 school year. The super curriculum and instruction for secondary education, Ms. Gurman started the meeting by discussing the class of 2026 graduation status with regard to progress on Act 158, the pathways to graduation state requirements. Then Director of Special Ed, Dr. Catrambone and team delivered updates surrounding the special ed program. Dr. Katz started his portion of the presentation discussing the special ed report, an indicator that helps monitor and identify potential gaps in academic achievement between students with and without IEPs. Dr. Catrambone's team, Dr. Brown Beasley and Ms. Kelly McNally also shared information about the Patan Autism Initiative, PAI, where elementary school autistic support classrooms receive hands-on training, in-class modeling, and ongoing support for paraprofessionals to strengthen current practices. Through the PAI, the Autism Initiative, consultants are supporting classrooms and teachers across all 7 autistic support classrooms at the elementary level. 6 paraeducators have participated in a 3-day training. District speech and language therapists are completing the early echoic skills assessment, which aligns with the verbal behavior strategies, and verbal behavior strategies are being incorporated based on individual student need. Supervisors of special ed, Dr. Dejan Vittorio and Ms. Pullum, discussed the progress of academic interventions that have been implemented in different subject areas, including K-8 reading and math and 9-12 reading and math for students with these areas of academic goals. Results are positive so far, with the goal of full implementation for 26-27. Then we had our Supervisor of Innovation and Enrichment, Dr. Pimental, give a final update to the board on gifted education identification, noting a positive change in disproportionality among the gifted population. Ms. Gurman wrapped up the evening by reviewing successes from the past 2 years of the empowerment program in Cheltenham, also known as EPIC, and detailed the program's upcoming move back to the high school for the 26-27 school year. The full recording of the meeting and the presentation are available on cheltenham.org. Click on school board, then committees, then educational affairs, and 25-26 to access them. The final educational affairs meeting of the 25-26 school year is scheduled for June 16th. That's next Tuesday at 7 p.m. here at the admin building and via Zoom. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Blitzstein. Mr. Burdell Williams, Eastern Center for Arts and Technology.
Thank you, Madam Chair, community and school board. Good evening. The Joint Operating Committee for the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology last met on May 13th in person. As is customary for the Joint Operating Committee, the first order of business is to acknowledge our Student of the Month. The student of the month for May was Naima Tijani, who is an Abington High School senior and has graduated, but at the time was also being recognized for her outstanding work in Eastern's Culinary Arts program. At Abington High School, she's a member of the National Honor Society and Student Council, as well as actively involved in Abington's Mini-thon, helping to raise funds in the fight against childhood cancer. At Eastern, Naima volunteers for just about everything, are the words that were used by Chef Bozo. And one of them being the four-course joint operating committee dinner that we get once a year, where we were able to interact with the students and also understand a lot about their future outlook and how Eastern has impacted their goals. Throughout her culinary arts program, she earned certifications, and outside of school, she worked as a cook and provides customer service at a Wendy's in her community. After graduating from Eastern and Abington Senior High, she will be attending Indiana University of Pennsylvania to study culinary arts with the hope of continuing education in business to become a private chef, establish her own business, and then use her talents to give back to the community by cooking for those in need. I do, just in terms of the remainder of the activities that we covered at the Joint Operating Committee meeting, want to focus on those that were specific to students and their upcoming experiences. There was a lot of things that we voted on this particular evening. But I did want to highlight that there are going to be 5 students who are going to work with Gary Felmy, who is on the staff at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, on up to 300 hours on various electrical projects. So there are 5 students, and they're again across a variety of different programs, welding, HVAC, and electrical. Where they will have some opportunity to get some real world experience at Eastern over the summer. There were a number of co-op training supervisors that were approved, which is the process by which the Joint Operating Committee approves a supervisor for a co-op student. So we receive the opportunity and then we process it through the recommendation of the staff and administration at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. And just to provide some focus on some of the wide range of experience that the students will be experiencing. We have a student who will be at O'Donnell Metal Fabricators in Abington. We have a student who is going to be a part of Rosie's Girls Pre-Apprenticeship Program with the IBEW Local 98. We have a student who will be at Faulkner Nissan. We have a student who will be at Bread and Beck's Bakery. We have one who will be at Caliber Collision. We have another who will be at Wissahickon Physical Therapy. So lots of great information that was shared with the Joint Operating Committee, and we always are excited to approve these particular co-op training supervisors because these students will be getting paid for their internships. Really nice way to spend the summer. We also approved the new instructor for the new Construction Careers Management Program. The community and board have heard from me previously that in an effort to continue to decrease the wait list for students at Eastern, there has been a continued expansion of programming, and the newest program is the Construction Careers Management Program that is intended to relieve the wait list for electrical, HVAC, welding, as well as the carpentry program. And we did approve that instructor. Very excited for him to start on July 1st, with the expectation that once the construction is complete, we will be starting that program in the fall. So very exciting. We approved the expenses for the students and teachers, 10 students and 2 teachers, to travel down to the Skills USA National Competition, including 1 student from Cheltenham. Special thank you to Ms. Robin Murphy and Ms. Mia Blitzstein for joining me in a mock interview to help that student prepare for their experience as they travel to compete nationally, not to only represent Cheltenham, but to represent the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology and the Skills USA Pennsylvania chapter. Lastly, last order of business, but certainly not least, we did approve the 26-27 salary guide for teachers. If anyone is curious, one of the unique aspects of Eastern Center for Arts and Technology is that they are literally joint owned, which is why the group that is in charge there is the Joint Operating Committee. And each of these individual school districts provide funds and students and keep the energy of the facility moving. We also combine and average the pay scales of the teachers and professional staff in order to get the pay scale for the teachers and professional staff at Eastern as well. Not arbitrary, but more so a cross section of all of what is happening across Montgomery County. The next meeting for the Joint Operating Committee is next week, June 17th via Zoom. The link to that can be found on Eastern's website, eastech.org. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Burgell Williams. Dr. Watts, facilities update.
Always a challenge following the report from Eastern, which is always so jam-packed full of student information. The Facilities Committee last met on June 2nd. This was a brief and to the point meeting with good updates on all of our building projects. The high school athletics stadium is nearing completion and will be ready prior to the start of the school year this fall, which is great news. Concession stands, bathrooms, railings, 20 trees, fencing, pavement around the field. Track should have been going in the last couple of days, I think. And along with firearm alarm inspection. So I know we're all excited to see that brought to completion. The renovation of Cedarbrook and the renovation and addition updates for Cedarbrook and Glenside are on pace underway. And that work at Cedarbrook will take into 2027, but the work at Glenside should be done by the end of this calendar year. And last but not least, a new transformer from Pico is being installed or should have been installed for this building that we're sitting in. If we've noticed that it's a little warm in here. And they've removed the old one from the inside. So that should make things in here more efficient and probably more effective. So that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. I will give the liaison report. The liaison group met on Monday, May 18th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The school district shared updates on our graduation plans, the Center for Safe Schools audit timeline, which we just heard the report about, and the Cheltenham Elementary action plans. The township shared updates on PennDOT speed limit changes and other possible grants from the Safe Roads and Streets for All grant opportunities for those grants. They also updated us on the hiring process for the new police chief and the township manager. And the pools were set to open on time for Memorial Day weekend, which they did. And the next meeting is Monday, June 15th at 8 a.m. Next, a policy report from Ms. Lohman.
Thank you. The policy committee did not meet in May. The next policy committee meeting will be on Tuesday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. here at the administration building. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Mr. Epps, legislative update.
Thank you. Again, Zachary Epps, this time reporting as a member of the Montgomery County School Board Legislative Committee. There was a lot happening on June 2nd. We also had our meeting on that evening, right before our finance and facilities. We discussed a few things. We were joined by representatives from Senator Vincent Hughes's office. And so we do, from time to time, talk directly with legislators or their staff members about what's happening in Harrisburg. I ended the financial affairs with our budget. I will report on the state level budget. We continue to get, I guess, positive news that mid-July might be the timeline for an approved state budget. Which obviously is not on time, but would be closer to on time than some of the previous years. there might be more political motivations than substantive issues related to the timing and the passage of the budget. But there's also encouragement that there won't be another drawn out fight and battle around the proposal, the governor's proposal. So hopefully there won't be significant reductions to what was proposed so far. Secondly, we talked about some of the unfunded mandates that are coming up over this year or over the next school year. One of them is evidence-based reading requirements, something our district might be a little farther ahead than some other school districts. But one of the things that it would require is at least a minimum of 3 times a year screening for all K through 3rd graders. And if deficiencies are found, the necessary interventions should be applied. So some of those we already do, but some of the requirements will be obviously our administration is tracking that. And again, would the requirements take effect beginning of next school year? There's some other items that I'll report back on that is currently the cell phone ban and the current status of that. House Bill 1814, which was passed last week on the 1st. And it's expected that the Senate will pass, if not the same version, but maybe some minor changes. And so there's a lot of energy around actually passing that legislation within this session. And so some of the things that would do, the biggest thing is a bell-to-bell or bus-to-bus actually ban of cell phones. And so during instructional time and transitional time, the state is leaving it up to local districts to figure out the how and to enforce it up to how the district sees fit. But that is the requirement, that it would be, again, instructional and transitional time, nonetheless the same. The not just phones, but also watches, any device that can connect to the internet. And so again, not just cell phones, but other devices that students may have access to can't be in their possession. So in a locker, in a pouch, again, that's left to the local district to determine what's best. But that will take effect 27-28 if passed. It's not passed yet. The governor would still have to sign it. The governor's been very supportive of the initiative up to this point. And so if and when it does become law, it wouldn't take effect until 27-28. There are some accommodation. There's some language to accommodate students who are English language learners or that have an IEP. And the types of devices that might be necessary to, again, provide education for those students. And there is also a discretionary piece for superintendents to declare the ban not in effect, but only for a day. And so it's not intended for to extend it for a week or a year. There's some provisions that superintendents can waive the requirements for a day or for a field trip or things like that. So there's some flexibility and discretion within, again, how this is, how it will be implemented and how it's enforced. But again, the broad big picture around the cell phone ban, again, there's a lot of energy that will be passed within this session and take effect a year or the following school year. So those were the hot button issues. There was just to keep this report concise, there's also some possible changes around the earned income tax credits. I'll save that for now, but possibly might be beneficial for school districts coming soon. So again, we will meet. Actually, we won't meet again. We may have a special meeting depending on when the budget is passed as a legislative committee. But again, we will be mindful of that as a board and our administration for any pertinent updates moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Update from the Cheltenham Education Foundation, Dr. Watts.
On last week at Cheltenham High School, the Cheltenham Education Foundation gave out 27 total awards to different seniors ranging from $500 to $1,000. It literally took up an entire page of the program, if any of you were there. Really a wonderful array of recognitions of students' achievements, talents, and goals for the future, and how they tied that back to their education in Cheltenham. So this was a total of $23,000. 27 awards chosen from 67 applications that were given out on Monday, June 1st. So it was part of an overall really wonderful night at the high school recognizing our students. The foundation moves from recognizing our students to recognizing educators. Grant applications for educator innovation grants are open now. The timeline was revised to get information out more broadly. And so the due date for that is now June 22nd for anyone in the room who wants to spread that word, with notification to happen in the summer. And the next big fundraising event is the Dines en Blanc event that has a fundraising goal of $25,300 to then go into the pot to give out for next year. And our next meeting will be a virtual meeting on June 15th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. That concludes the reports that we have from our various committees and groups. And the next item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
There we go. Mr. Burdell Williams and Dr. Whiting. Any comments from the board? Dr. Whiting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As an educational research and policy specialist, nothing in education moves quickly, and there's a good reason for that. We are the only public institution that deals with the public every single day, almost every single day, 182 days a year. And we get to do that for 13 years for almost all of the kids who get to attend our schools. And so when we consider things like on our agenda tonight, the high quality instructional materials that are going to be adopted, those things take a great deal of time. And they take time because we want to consider every aspect of those things and their impact on our kids. And so what you're looking at tonight in the adoption of a lot of curriculum, that includes K through 5 and 6 ELA, 7 through 12 reading intervention, K through 2, 3 through 5 and 6 and 7, 8 science. These are all separate things. K through 6 social studies, and a collection of other supporting materials that are going to be implemented in our classrooms across the district. It represents years of work and vetting by administrators, by teachers, and conversations to ensure that these are the most effective instructional materials that we have available for our students. And so I do want to point out that as an educational researcher too, I know that high quality instructional materials have 3 special qualities. They are vetted by the district. They are state aligned to the standards that exist in the state of Pennsylvania, and we know them to be evidence-based. These are important designations that not every school district considers when considering curriculum. And so the work that we are doing tonight in adopting these materials represents the work of people like Dr. Savage, Dr. Gurman, Ms. Ferraro, Dr. Pimental, and Ms. Collins, who have spent time on the High Quality Instructional Materials Committee over the last several years, identifying these, vetting these with teachers across our district, and making sure they are effective for our students. And so I thought it was important to take a moment to acknowledge the work that was done by these people tonight and recognize that these curricular materials that we're going to put in front of our students are the best materials we have available to meet the needs of our students where they are. And so I want to take a moment to thank those people. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you who are behind me as well. And also acknowledge the district's continued commitment to improvement across things like facilities, across our curriculum and instruction, which we're doing tonight, and across our financial planning, which we do all the time. And so thank you and congratulations to the High Quality Instructional Materials Committee who made our potential adoption of these materials possible tonight. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Whiting. Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a comment on the agenda, but first I just wanted to say happy Pride and acknowledge the fact that this is a month that helps us remember to love one another and ourselves for who we are and what makes us exceptional. And if you have not heard it today, you are loved and you are celebrated and you belong in this community and this school district. With that, I wanted to make a comment about the budget, which we are about to vote on. Mr. Epps did a wonderful summary of the content of the budget, and I just wanted to highlight that this is the vote. We vote on a lot of versions on this budget, and this is the culminating vote that will actually mean, if approved, we have a budget for next year, including a 3.5% tax increase. I want to also reiterate the thanks to the board as well, and the administration over years that have put a lot of time and energy into having a budget that gives the kids what they need to succeed and thrive in our district, while also working within our financial realities as a community. This budget is at the Act 1 index. For those who don't know, the Act 1 index is essentially a pacing mechanism, a legally binding pacing mechanism put out by the state. Moving a budget to the Act 1 index is essentially saying you're moving it status quo from a financial perspective. It is saying you are living within your means. And as a district that is a highly taxed community, we always strive to be below Act 1 index. And there are the past several years we've managed to do that. This year we did not, due to the aforementioned challenges that are affecting not just us, but many in the region. So I just wanted to reiterate the thanks for getting a balanced budget within our means. And also we all are working hard to hit that target of below Act 1 index over time through effective negotiations, through strategic planning, and through effective use of our resources within our buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Ms. Blitzstein.
I also have kind of a roundabout comment on the budget. But I want to back up a little bit to the retiree tributes. I noticed a common thread through so many of the tributes to our retirees, and it really was relationships. It was all about relationships and how people have spent years, hours of days and weeks and months and years of their lives cultivating relationships, whether it was peer-to-peer collegial relationships or teacher-student relationships. We heard over and over and over the ways in which the impacts of our staff are on others through their relationships, supporting, seeing, helping, nurturing, guiding, advising, cheering, giving of themselves. So first, I just want to acknowledge that and acknowledge the heart that our amazing retirees have invested into others. 4 of them were teachers of my own children, and 1 I'm pretty sure taught me at CHS in the 90s. And as one board member, I just wanted to express my deep appreciation for the many hours and years that they have all spent giving to others. And here comes the budget part. I'm really grateful for all of those who are involved in working to establish the budget so that our district can continue to blossom and grow and keep growing relationships and doing the work that is educating kids, families, all of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blitzstein. Ms. Loman and Mr.
Thank you. This is obviously a very jam-packed consent agenda, probably the most jam-packed of the year. There's a lot going on in this agenda. So for anybody who's left on Zoom or in the room, pass it along that if people care about education in Cheltenham, should really take a look at this recording if they weren't able to be there tonight, and to read the agenda as well. A couple of things I just wanted to point out. Very excited to see that we are going to have our staff be receiving some structured literacy professional development from the Academy in Manioc, or AIM. AIM has been a leader for decades now in the study and teaching of the use of structured literacy for students with learning disabilities, but this is of course beyond that now that we're going to be using structured literacy with all of our students as is required by state law. But we are very lucky to have a resource like AIM, like literally in our backyard, about 20 minutes of Conshohocken. So I'm very thankful to the administration that we are taking advantage of that resource. Also wanted to note the PlayWorks contract. Dr. Robinson kind of mentioned PlayWorks, and really excited to see that it's going to be implemented at all four of our elementary schools. It actually started out, I believe, at Glenside through a CEF grant. So really excited to see that it has grown and spread to all four of our elementary schools. Grateful for the administration for facilitating that. And then I'm actually going to take the point of privilege and ask Mr. Swigert to explain we're being asked to approve the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit cost plan for 2026, 2027. It's a decently large amount of money. It's a little over $2 million. And so I want to make sure that everyone has an understanding of how it works and why we are asked to approve such a thing every year.
So on the agenda tonight is to approve shared services with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. These are shared services. Other districts join in and participate in programs with the IU, including an autism bridge program, emotional supports. We contract for behavioral analysis through the MCIU. There's intensive autistic support programming, multi-disabled support programming, personal care assistance to special ed students, and Discovery Center time as well. And all that is included in that $2 million you see for approval tonight. That is a budget, that is an estimate. We are billed quarterly and we are settled up at the end of each fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Swigert. I appreciate that explanation. And just two other things to point out real quick. Sorry. I'm sorry. In the agenda, also we're going to be voting on a 2-year agreement with the Cheltenham Association of School Supervisors and Administrators, HASA, which is something that covers our what you see in terms of principals, but other administrators as well. And I'll still leave it at that, but there's a lot going on, so please take a look at it.
Thanks. Second to all that. So I won't repeat it, but a lot of the joy stuff. The one thing I wanted to add was in this time, we talk a lot about education, but education is a pillar in our community. And one of the reasons I appreciate serving on the school board is that it touches pretty much every other aspect of life and community. And so one of the things we all are experiencing changes in prices, right? From gas to cheese and milk to education for some people. And so we see in this budget as well, our lunch prices are remaining the same, and they've actually remained the same, I think, for the last longer than that. Yeah, about 5 years. And so that is something families don't have to worry about when your children are at school and eating. That's something that's remaining static. And so I appreciate that we can continue to say that. For sure, man.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Mr. Perdelli?
Yep, very brief. Did want to second my colleagues' prior comments, especially those related to the budget. In my time on the board, I know that we have all spent a lot of effort in doing our very best to decrease the tax burden to whatever way that we can. We know that a lot of that comes through focused attention on negotiations and decisions related to the educational experiences for our children. So although we are discussing what is a 3.5% tax increase for this evening to be approved, from my perspective as one board member, I believe that is necessary for what the experience is that we want, or that I want specifically for the students of this district. You will also see on tonight's agenda a number of those contracts that go into managing our expenses over a number of years. So not just a today or tomorrow, but more of for the very next number of years, even going as far as to project If you look at some of our most recent presentations at the Financial Affairs Committee, like the projections of where we will be positioned as a district from a cost perspective compared to our counterparts across Montgomery County and other parts of the state. So appreciate the efforts that go into managing a budget of this size. $140 million is not a light number. I know that everyone at this table and everyone inside of administration takes it all very seriously. And we do that for two reasons. One, because we care about the community and we want our children to explore the very best versions of themselves. And we care about the community. So we don't want to tax burden you all any further than we have been to this point in time. So thank you, administration, for bringing this budget forward. And thank you for doing your best to reflect the mission and vision of Cheltenham in this budget. And looking forward to supporting said budget tonight when the opportunity comes. Thank you.
Any other board comments? I have one last one. I'm not going to go through all the things my colleagues mentioned that I agree with, but I just want to acknowledge Dr. Pimentel, who I think after about 10 years in the district with us is moving on to his next position elsewhere. And I just want to acknowledge that Ms. Blitzstein referenced this when she gave her educational affairs report, but at that meeting 2 weeks ago, he shared a slide with us that showed some work, the work that he has been doing for years now to try to get our gifted identification numbers. When you disaggregate the data, it was not proportionate to the racial breakdown of our district. And for the first time in years and years, maybe ever, I'm not sure, that data from the students that were identified as gifted this year very closely matched the breakdown of our district. So that is a lot of really hard and thoughtful work that he and a lot of other central administrators and staff have been working on for a long time. So I wanted to acknowledge that before we move on. And if there are no further comments, I will take a vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you so much. The motion carries. And we move on to the next item in our agenda, which is a board resolution. Thank you to the folks that have stayed with us through the end. We really appreciate that. This is a welcoming schools resolution and a safe zone policy. I wanted to thank especially to Ms. Lohman and the central administrators and Mr. Diazzo who worked on this with input from all different people to get us to this point where we could have this resolution. It is rooted in templates from the Education Law Center and the ACLU. Thank you also to the Cheltenham Immigration Response Team and their advocacy both here and in the district and community-wide. We appreciate your tireless advocacy and patience with us as we navigate. Someone mentioned earlier that things in education do not move quickly. They do not. So thank you, Dr. Whiting, for that. So I thought of that in this particular. Thank you, Judy and Ms. Heath, for being our point person as we go back and forth. We appreciate your patience with us again. And we look forward to continuing to work together. In addition, this resolution is not an ending point. It is a beginning point or a continuing point in this particular process. At the start of the next school year, an updated letter will be sent to families about law enforcement and the ways that we protect our students and our buildings. And I am going to read the resolution and then I will take a motion and to vote on the resolution. The Cheltenham School District Board of Directors welcoming schools resolution and safe zones policy. Whereas it is the right of every child, regardless of immigration status, to access a free public K-12 education, and the Cheltenham School District welcomes and supports all students. And whereas the Cheltenham School District has a responsibility to ensure that all students, regardless of immigration status, who reside within its boundaries can safely access a free public K-12 education. And whereas in compliance with federal and state law, including 22 PA Code 11.11D, the Cheltenham School District does not inquire into the immigration status of any student. And whereas the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, protects the privacy of student education records and prevents schools from releasing student information without appropriate consent. And whereas federal immigration law enforcement may seek to enter school property, whether by surveillance, interview, demand information, arrest, detention, or any other means. And whereas such activities may harmfully disrupt the learning environment to which all students, regardless of immigration status, are entitled and significantly interfere with the ability of all students to access a free public K-12 education. And whereas there is no written state or federal law that mandates local school districts to assist federal immigration enforcement agencies in the enforcement of immigration laws, and whereas under the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution, the federal government cannot coerce localities to enforce immigration laws, and whereas this school board recognizes that its duty to uphold students' rights, including their Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable searches and seizures, and the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, and now therefore be it resolved that the Cheltenham School District shall follow the policy and protocol now incorporated into this resolution to ensure that the Cheltenham School District meets its duty to provide all students, regardless of immigration status, access to a free public K-12 education. Can I please have a
So
motion to,
moved.
thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Second.
Mr. Burdell Williams. Any comments from the board, Mr. Schultz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all the advocates that have been pushing for this resolution, all the members of the board and administration that helped to draft this resolution. We began this meeting with acknowledgement of and honor for the many legacies that have impacted our community. We are living today with families in our community who are bringing their legacies to continue to have impact on our community. And the policies that this resolution cite, which have been built over time to protect those families, being crystallized in a resolution and communicated to everybody here so that we know that we are supporting and protecting, and not to overuse love, but loving those families is so important to me. As I know, I have neighbors who are refugees. I know people here who are here as immigrants who are trying to make the best, safest life for their children. And I'm just thankful that we have a board and a community that values their participation and their comfort in knowing that they can do so here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Ms. Loman?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schultz, for that comment. I would just like to thank the administration and Ms. Mulhern for their support. And of course, the community activists for coming out to lots of meetings and keeping us honest and getting us to move us along. Because this has become very real to me personally. Last week, someone I've known for 10 years was stopped by ICE in Northeast Philadelphia while he was going to visit his son. And he was plucked out of his car and taken to the federal detention center. And as I'm sitting here today, I just got a text from his wife that he is being transferred, I assume, to Moshannon. She said he's being transferred to Pittsburgh. This family has been in the United States for over 11 years. They are the kindest, nicest people you would ever want to meet. And so it has become mixed. Yeah, this is going on. It's going on in our community. He said that while he was in the federal detention center over the weekend, over 20 people were brought in, picked up off the street in Northeast Philly as the same way he was, because ICE now, because of their $70 billion of federal funding, has much more sophisticated techniques. Rather than knocking on doors and banging down doors to grab people off the streets, they now have sophisticated license plate reader software, and they have more data mining capabilities, so they can find people and take them basically more readily. So I'm grateful that we are considering this resolution tonight. This is it is unfortunately just all too real.
Any other board comments? Thank you. I will now take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. The resolution is now passed. Thank you all for your support. Last item on our agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. If you are in the room, you may approach the podium. If you're on Zoom, you may raise your hand to be recognized. And you have up to 3 minutes. Please state your name and where you reside in the township.
Hi, my name is Edward Miller. I've lived in Glenside for 37 years now at the same address. I've heard many of the people who approach this podium say that they have experience with teaching in a public high school. I do not. My pedagogical experience has been limited to teaching at an Ivy League university and an elite private school. So if you say to me you can't understand some of the problems we face, I would say there's some validity in that. Except that while I taught Shakespeare to some of our most privileged students for many years, at night for much of my life, I taught martial arts. And in that capacity, wearing that hat, I taught in neighborhoods as diverse, and I use that word with all due irony, West Philly to East Germantown, Kensington to Cobb Creek. So I know something about teaching very tough kids from some very tough neighborhoods. And I have sympathy in a way that maybe some of you don't understand. I was going to go over a list of things to talk about, but hearing the resolution just passed, I want to say this, and I'm not trying to be so severely critical of you, but since we're educators, where you all are, shouldn't this resolution be an opportunity to educate people? I resent being placed in the position of having to advocate for policies that I don't agree with. I'm not a Republican. One shouldn't have to say that, but I feel in this context I do. I've never been a Republican. I don't like what ICE is doing to some of our students. I have Latino friends. My mentor in graduate school was the great Mexican novelist Carlos Fuentes, who was persona non grata during the Reagan administration. But what about teaching the students that there are consequences for actions? I Again, I feel ill at ease even saying this, but rather than pass such a resolution unanimously, you say you value diversity, and yet looking in front of me, I see no diversity at all, no intellectual diversity. You all speak of the same mind. I didn't hear a single dissenting voice. What about saying, let's teach the students about Thoreau, about civil disobedience, that if you enter the country illegally, that you do so knowing there are consequences and you stand ready to suffer those consequences if necessary or fight against them. How about some sort of dissenting voice? How about two sides of an issue? How about debating it with intelligence, with analytical skills, not simply passing on the social policies that obviously you folks all believe in? And again, I'm at a disadvantage here because I believe in them too. But I believe more in intelligence, again, in reasoning, in debate, in saying something that isn't what you're expected to say. And I didn't see any of that here. And I very much would like to see it in the future. I wanted to refrain from saying anything. And yet when I saw this unanimous passing of this resolution, and I would like a copy of it if I could, please. I'm sure I'm done. I'm sure I'm done.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Wilson.
you.
We appreciate
Thank
hearing
you.
from you. The resolution is attached to the agenda, which can all be found on our website. And I'm happy to show you exactly how to get there, if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yep. Any hands raised, Mr. Kaufman, online? Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. And with that, the last item is information about our upcoming meetings. There are only a few left as it is the end of the academic year. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I think that's a first and a second. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.